The plane touched down, and everything I thought I knew about myself shattered. It was December, a biting cold month back home in Warsaw, the kind that makes you pull your scarf tighter and dream of faraway warmth. Here, in Singapore, the air was thick, humid, a suffocating blanket after the endless hours of flight. My brother-in-law, Mr. Lee, had gifted me the ticket, a Christmas surprise, he'd said, a chance to see how my sister, married to him for 3 years, truly lived. A month, that was the plan. A month to visit, then back to the familiar, to friends, to the predictable rhythm of life before university. Yet, standing there at Changi Airport, the metallic tang of excitement and apprehension mixing in my throat, I already felt a strange dissonance. My sister, radiant and happier than I'd ever seen her, rushed forward, her 2-year-old son, Kai Ming, clutched in her arms. He stared at me with wide, curious eyes, an innocent stranger. I felt a pang of connection, quickly followed by the dull thud of confusion. The MRT ride into the city was eerily quiet, people lost in their own worlds, rushing but silent, a stark contrast to the boisterous, chatty trams of Poland. The smells from the hawker centers, a heady mix of spices and frying oil, were utterly alien. Navigating a supermarket felt like an insurmountable task without my sister translating. Even with English, I found myself constantly misunderstood. A tourist in a land that felt nothing like the exotic, glamorous images my school friends obsessed over, regional pop dramas and trends that held no appeal for me. Why did everyone rave about this place? The question echoed in my head, a constant, nagging refrain. Every day felt like a burden, the unfamiliar rhythm, an exhausting assault. Ximending Diwa Street, Xinyi District. My sister dutifully paraded me through them all, eager to showcase her adopted home. We took photos, bought trinkets, but my spirit remained untouched. It felt like a checklist, a superficial skim over a culture I couldn't grasp. The food, in particular, was a torment. Hainanese chicken rice, laksa, bak kute. I tried them all, urged by my sister to acquire the taste, but each bite was a struggle. My stomach churned, and a desperate longing for pierogi, for familiar, comforting flavors, gnawed at me. Could I even last a month? I wondered, the thought of cutting my trip short a constant, shameful whisper. My sister, perceptive as always, sensed my growing unease. That weekend, she steered me away from the manicured tourist trails, venturing instead into the city's older, more lived-in corners. Kampong Glam, Little India, and finally, a bustling hawker center in Tiong Bahru. She held Kai Ming, navigating the crowded aisles with ease, while I, feeling overwhelmed, drifted towards a fruit stall. An elderly auntie, her face a roadmap of wrinkles and kindness, noticed me. She smiled, a warm, toothless grin, and offered me a perfectly ripe apple. I mumbled a clumsy thank you in fractured Mandarin, a language I barely knew. Her smile widened, and she pressed a few more oranges into my hand, chattering happily in Hokkien, a dialect I couldn't understand a single word of. In that moment, a flicker of warmth, genuine and unexpected, bloomed in my chest. Even without shared words, her sincerity transcended the language barrier. Yet, the sense of alienation wasn't entirely lifted. Singapore still felt like a glittering modern facade, its true heart hidden beneath a veneer of efficiency and progress. The romantic narratives of pop culture seemed a universe away from the silent struggles I imagined its people faced. It was then that fate, or perhaps just my sister's persistent efforts, intervened. She dragged me to an international exchange event at a community cultural center. I resisted, convinced it would be another polite, superficial encounter. But I went. The room buzzed with chatter, a cacophony of languages, Americans, Germans, Vietnamese, all mingling with Singaporeans. One young man stood out. "Hello, I'm Lee Wai Lun," he said, his English flawless, a gentle smile on his face. He was a volunteer, he explained, helping foreigners navigate Singapore. For the first time, I found myself truly conversing with a local. Wai Lun was effortlessly kind. Learning I was from Poland, he spoke of Chopin, of our history, his genuine interest disarming me. That evening, he spoke of Singapore's own journey, its remarkable transformation from a vulnerable island to a thriving nation, built on the unwavering spirit of its people. "We Singaporeans are resilient," he said, pride in his voice. "We don't give up. We fall, but we always get back up." His words resonated, piercing through my tourist shell. For the first time, Singapore wasn't just a collection of sights. It was a place with a living history, a vibrant spirit. Wei Lun invited me to visit the National Museum of Singapore, an offer my sister eagerly seconded. A few days later, Wei Lun walked me through the museum. Displays depicting the brutal realities of wartime occupation, the struggles for self-governance, the sacrifices made by the nation's founders, it was overwhelming. I wept, touched by the raw emotion of a people who had endured so much, yet emerged stronger. I think I understand a little now, I confessed to Wei Lun. From that moment, I ceased to be just a casual visitor. I became an observer, a student, looking for the truths hidden beneath the surface, and Wei Lun was my guide. My Singaporean experience transformed. Each day was a discovery, a peeling back of layers. Wei Lun, despite his busy work schedule, made time. No longer were we visiting designated tourist spots, but the places where ordinary Singaporeans lived and breathed. Eating popiah and sharing beers by the East Coast Park, talking late into the night. The hushed, focused students at libraries, burning the midnight oil. The young people on the MRT, instinctively offering their seats to the elderly or pregnant. I used to find the MRT unnervingly quiet, almost oppressive, I told Wei Lun one day. Now I see it as a sign of mutual consideration. He smiled. Singaporeans might seem reserved on the surface, but our hearts are warm. I remember a street performance at a hawker center, a young man pouring his soul into a song on his guitar. Passers-by paused, applauding, offering encouragement. We have a culture of encouraging dreams here, Wei Lun explained. When we see someone working hard, we want to cheer them on. I understood then that Singapore's prosperity wasn't just economic, it was rooted in the generosity of its spirit. Even my aversion to the food began to fade. Wei Lun took me to a tiny, unassuming Peranakan restaurant run by an elderly matriarch. Her laksa, rich and fragrant, her achar, tangy and complex, felt like home-cooked meals, prepared with an unspoken love. The old lady, knowing I was a foreigner, kept piling more food onto my plate, her simple gestures conveying more warmth than any words. That was the day I truly felt the kindness of Singaporeans. One Saturday afternoon, Wei Lun led me through Joo Chiat, a district where traditional shophouses stood proudly beside modern cafes. Sipping traditional tea, I learned about the subtle etiquettes, the intricate tapestry of Singaporean culture. Later, walking near Marina Bay Sands, the cityscape ablaze with lights, we talked. Singapore isn't large, Wei Lun mused, but it holds its own unique charm. People here cherish their traditions while embracing modernity. His words resonated deeply. I was falling in love with this place. That night, I confessed to my sister. I think I'm starting to love Singapore. She smiled. You met a good person, that's why. But time, as it always does, rushed forward. 3 weeks were gone. A week until I had to return to Poland. My heart grew heavy. Just when I was beginning to understand its true beauty, I had to leave. Wei Lun understood. That last week, he made an extra effort. We stood atop Marina Bay Sands, the city sparkling below like scattered diamonds. We walked along East Coast Park, absorbing the night's calm. You're really leaving? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. The question hung in the air. Reality intruded. University awaited me in Poland. My parents, worried about their daughter so far from home. Even if I leave now, I can always come back, I said, trying to sound brave, though I had no such certainty. The last night, on the MRT ride to Changi, I marveled at the change within me. Just a month ago, I yearned for home. Now, I dreaded leaving. The heart of this transformation was Wei Lun, this warm, gentle soul. Back in Poland, I found myself adrift. Warsaw, once so familiar, now felt strangely distant. My month in Singapore felt like a dream, ethereal and unreal. Friends and family asked about my trip, but my explanations felt hollow. It was good, I'd say, knowing the emotions, the experiences, especially with Wei Lun, were too complex for simple words. My mind, meant for university preparations, kept drifting back to Singapore. Wei Lun and I exchanged messages daily, but the time difference created frustrating silences. Each delay amplified my longing. Even after enrolling in international relations at Warsaw University, my thoughts remained restless. Lectures on East Asian history captivated me, particularly when Singapore was mentioned. I devoured books on its culture, its society. Then came the announcement. An exchange program to Asia, including 2 slots for NUS and NTU in Singapore. My heart pounded. This was it. The competition was fierce. Over 20 applicants for 2 spots. Grades, language proficiency, essays, interviews. Everything had to be perfect. I threw myself into learning Mandarin, enrolling in every available class, consuming Singaporean dramas and news online, driven by an almost desperate hunger. Wei Lun, from halfway across the world, became my tireless tutor, patiently practicing conversations over video calls, sharing insights into Singaporean culture. "Do you really want to come back?" he asked once. "Yes," I replied, without a moment's hesitation. "I want to live in Singapore. Truly live." His face brightened. When the interview came, I spoke from the heart, explaining how Singapore had transcended a mere travel destination, how the warmth of its people and the depth of its culture had captivated me. A week later, my name was on the acceptance list. Tears streamed down my face. A year in Singapore. I called Wei Lun immediately. "Really? Congratulations." His joy was palpable. This time, not as a tourist, but as a student. It will be a completely different experience. After completing my second semester, I boarded the plane again. This time, my heart held not just anticipation, but a steely resolve. I was going to live in Singapore. Wei Lun was there at Changi, more mature, more confident. "Good to see you again," he greeted. "This time, I'm here to stay," I replied. Unpacking in my NUS dorm room, I made a silent promise. This year wasn't just for studies, it was to become a part of Singaporean society. And, perhaps most importantly, to deepen my connection with Wei Lun. The first month was a whirlwind of orientation and course registration. I met fellow exchange students from around the globe, forged new friendships, yet my focus remained squarely on Singaporean culture and its people. Student life was challenging. Lectures, assignments, exams. It was ordinary university life. Yet for me, every aspect was new. Lectures in Mandarin were tougher than expected. Daily conversations were manageable, but academic discourse was a different beast. Many nights were spent poring over textbooks in the library, a Mandarin dictionary my constant companion. "Tell me if you need help," Wei Lun worried, but I wouldn't give up. This was my chance to truly understand. Working on group projects with local students, I gained insights into their perspectives, their culture, their passion for studies, their relentless pursuit of career goals, often burning the midnight oil, deeply impressed me. So different from Polish students, I mused. They have such clear ambitions. My roommate, Sarah Tan, an Ngee Polytechnic student, became a close friend, a window into the life of a young Singaporean woman. We'd share char kway teow at hawker centers, confide in each other about love, and browse the shops in Orchard Road, discussing local trends. "Katarzyna, do you have a Singaporean boyfriend?" Sarah asked one day, making me blush. My relationship with Wei Lun was still in that ambiguous, unspoken stage, a quiet understanding hovering between us. As I settled into life, I started working part-time at a cafe near Ngee. It was tough at first, but my Mandarin improved, and I gained invaluable social experience. Customers would often commend my language skills. "Where are you from? Your Mandarin is really good." Each compliment filled me with a quiet sense of accomplishment, a feeling of slowly, surely integrating. My relationship with Wei Lun evolved naturally. He was no longer just a kind guide, but an intimate confidant, sharing the fabric of our daily lives. Despite his demanding job, he always found time for me. One autumn evening, walking along East Coast Park, he carefully asked, "Katarzyna, are we together?" I smiled. I thought we were. From that day, our relationship solidified, but with it came a new worry. My exchange year was finite. I would have to return to Poland. The uncertainty of a long-distance relationship loomed, a heavy shadow. Yet, we chose to cherish the present. Winter arrived, and I experienced a different side of Singapore. Though warmer than Poland, Singapore's winter had its own charm. A cool drizzle, the scent of charcoal from street vendors selling roasted sweet potatoes and corn. I loved the hawker centers in the evenings, the warmth of the laksa and barbecue seafood comforting against the chill. I realized how many good people I had met. My sister and her family, Wei Lun, Sarah, my cafe boss, my classmates. Each had welcomed me, woven me into their lives. Spending Christmas and New Year in Singapore, I had a special experience. Meeting Wei Lun's family. I was nervous, but his parents were incredibly warm, embracing me like their own. "Wei Lun talks about you all the time," his mother smiled. "Next time, you must cook us some Polish food." I was deeply moved. This felt like belonging, like becoming a part of a Singaporean family. But time continued its relentless march. Half my exchange year was gone, 6 months until I had to return. My heart grew heavier with each passing day. As the latter half of my exchange unfolded, I delved deeper into Singapore. I was no longer just a foreign student, but a burgeoning member of its society. My Mandarin had advanced significantly. I could now converse freely with my professors. I particularly remember a presentation in my Singaporean history class, comparing the modern histories of Poland and Singapore, two nations, despite different contexts, that had endured foreign aggression yet fiercely guarded their independence. A standing ovation followed. An incredibly moving presentation, my professor said. We never thought a foreign perspective could so profoundly understand our history. That moment filled me with pride. I felt like a small bridge, connecting Poland and Singapore. My bond with Wei Lun deepened further. Weekends were spent exploring Singapore, but now, not as tourists. We'd buy groceries at the neighborhood market, cook meals at his place. My Polish dumplings a hit, his laksa a delight. Sharing our cultures, we grew closer. But the realities began to surface. My exchange was ending. I had to return to Poland to complete my degree. Wei Lun had his career in Singapore. The difficulties of an international relationship were undeniable. What will you do? Sarah asked, worried. I had no clear answer. My love for Wei Lun was certain, but the practical path forward remained shrouded. Then, an unexpected opportunity arose. A Polish company in Singapore was seeking interns, a role involving translation and cultural exchange between the two nations. My heart raced. This was it. If I could secure this position, I might be able to stay. I immediately drafted my application, prepared for the interview. I questioned myself intensely. Did I truly want to live in Singapore, or was it just about being with Wei Lun? The answer was clear. I had genuinely fallen in love with this country, and I wanted to build my future here. At the interview, I spoke with conviction. I want to be a bridge between Poland and Singapore. As someone who deeply understands both cultures, I believe I can contribute significantly to cultural exchange. It was from the heart. A week later, the acceptance letter arrived. I was ecstatic, yet a knot of trepidation remained. I shared the news with Wei Lun. Congratulations. Now we can be together longer, he said, genuinely happy. But telling my parents would be harder. On a video call, I carefully explained, there's a great job opportunity in Singapore. I want to stay longer, gain experience. Is this truly a good choice? My father's worried voice came through the speaker. Living alone so far away, it worries us, my mother echoed. Yet, seeing my unwavering determination, they eventually gave their blessing. As my exchange year drew to a close, I reflected on the past 12 months. I felt like a completely different person. Not just my language skills, but my entire way of thinking had shifted. I felt like an international individual, embodying the best of both Singaporean and Polish cultures. At my farewell party, saying goodbye to my Singaporean friends, I was deeply moved. Because of you, Katarzyna, we learned so much about Poland. We're so glad you're staying. Their warm words touched my soul. I returned to Poland briefly to complete my remaining credits, but my heart was already in Singapore. The final semester in Warsaw flew by. My graduation thesis, naturally, was on Singapore, the correlation between its economic development and cultural values. The research deepened my understanding, not just of its growth, but of the underlying Singaporean values and cultural bedrock that fueled it. My supervising professor praised it as a profound study. Wei Lun and I continued our daily video calls. Despite the time difference, our connection remained strong. Hurry back. Singapore is waiting for you, he'd say, and my longing would intensify. Finally, graduation day arrived. My parents and friends celebrated, but my thoughts were already in Singapore. At the graduation party, friends bid me farewell, a mix of sadness and curiosity in their eyes. Are you really going to live in Singapore? When will we see you again? The goodbyes were hard, but my excitement for the new life outweighed the sorrow. I spent my last weeks in Poland, cherishing moments with my family. Be happy, my daughter, my mother wept. Don't forget you're still our daughter, even in Singapore, my father added, his voice thick with emotion. Armed with their love and support, I boarded the plane once more. This time, I was neither a tourist nor an exchange student, but a professional, embarking on a new life. Wei Lun was there at Changi, a bouquet of flowers in hand. You're really back, he beamed. His radiant smile made me feel truly home. My first day at the new company was a mix of nerves and excitement. I was responsible for cultural exchange and translation between Poland and Singapore. My colleagues lauded my deep understanding of both cultures. Thanks to Katarzyna, communication with our Polish clients is so much smoother, my supervisor remarked. I felt a profound sense of purpose, of truly being a bridge between two nations. Settling into work, I experienced the rhythm of real life in Singapore. Commuting on the MRT, company dinners, weekend dates. It all felt so natural. I was a Singaporean now. My relationship with Wei Lun solidified. The anxieties of an international romance faded. We could finally plan a future together. One Saturday evening, walking hand in hand along East Coast Park, Wei Lun knelt. Katarzyna, will you marry me? I want to spend the rest of my life making you happy. His sincere words brought tears to my eyes. Yes, I whispered. The sunset over East Coast that evening seemed to glow with an ethereal beauty. Wedding preparations were a crash course in Singaporean culture, the intricate rituals, the family dynamics. Wei Lun's family embraced me with open arms, and I quickly adapted. Our daughter-in-law is so beautiful, my mother-in-law would say, making me blush with happiness. My parents from Poland flew in for the ceremony, a beautiful convergence of two families, two cultures. My company, too, offered its blessings. You've completely become a Singaporean now, haven't you? A colleague teased. I smiled. My heart has been Singaporean for a long time. The biggest change, however, was in me. The timid, uncertain girl who first arrived in Singapore was gone. In her place stood a confident, poised Singaporean wife and professional, a unique individual embodying two rich cultures. A month before the wedding, my sister and I went wedding gown shopping. You look so beautiful, she said, tears in her eyes. Seeing you so happy makes me so glad. I felt a wave of gratitude for her, for the marriage that had, indirectly, opened this incredible door for me. 2 weeks before the wedding, an unexpected offer arrived. My company planned to open a branch in Warsaw, and they wanted me to head it. I declined without hesitation. Singapore was my home now. Are you sure? My manager asked, concerned. My answer was firm. I am Singaporean now. I want to build my life here. My colleagues applauded. Finally, the wedding day. My parents and relatives from Poland, my new family in Singapore, all gathered. It was a special celebration, a blend of cultures. I wore both a traditional Polish dress and an elegant cheongsam, a beautiful fusion. My daughter, you look truly happy, my mother wept. It's wonderful you found such a good man in Singapore, my father added. Wei Lun's parents embraced me. You are truly our daughter now. At the reception, I gave a speech. When I first came to Singapore, I only planned to stay for a month, but thanks to the warmth of the people I met here, my life has been completely transformed. I am a Singaporean now. This is my home. Amidst applause and cheers, I felt a deep sense of contentment. Starting a new life with Wei Lun filled me with joy, but more importantly, I knew I had chosen the right path. Our honeymoon was in Sentosa, enjoying Singapore's beautiful natural scenery, planning our future. If we have children, we'll teach them both Polish and Mandarin, I suggested. Wei Lun smiled. Our children will be truly special, global citizens. Our new home was near my sister's, so I could see my nephew often and rely on her support. I was truly building a new family in Singapore. Back at work, my role grew. I now spearheaded cultural exchange projects between Poland and Singapore, youth exchange programs, cultural festivals, business exchanges. These projects wouldn't be possible without Katarzyna, my boss acknowledged, filling me with pride. I was truly a bridge. I particularly cherished the youth exchange project, inviting Polish teenagers to Singapore. I designed it based on my own first experiences, ensuring it wasn't just tourism, but a deep dive into Singaporean culture. Singapore is amazing, just like Katarzyna's sister said, a Polish student exclaimed, filling me with accomplishment. My own journey was now helping others. On our first wedding anniversary, Wei Lun and I traveled to Poland. It was his turn to explore my homeland. Warsaw Old Town, the beautiful castles of Krakow, the poignant history of Auschwitz. We visited them all. Poland is truly a beautiful country, Wei Lun marveled. You grew up in such a place. His admiration filled me with pride. I was so lucky to have a husband who loved both my homes. Seeing my old friends in Poland, I felt how much I had changed. You're so different, so much more confident and poised, they said. I smiled, knowing my experiences in Singapore had made me grow. Dinner at my parents' house, surrounded by family, they saw my happiness and felt reassured. Take good care of our daughter, my father told Wei Lun, who respectfully bowed. Returning to Singapore after a month in Poland, I was more certain than ever of my choice. I was truly a global citizen, loving both Singapore and Poland. In our second year of marriage, joyous news arrived. I was pregnant. We were overjoyed, as were both our families. The thought of a child, a blend of Polish and Singaporean heritage, excited everyone. Our child will be special, carrying the cultures of both nations, I said to Wei Lun, who nodded in agreement. We decided on both a Singaporean and a Polish name. During my pregnancy, my contributions at work gained even more recognition. The Polish-Singaporean cultural exchange projects were a resounding success, even drawing attention from government agencies. Both countries' culture ministries proposed formally appointing me as a cultural ambassador. "I'm so proud," my mother-in-law exclaimed. "Who knew our daughter-in-law was so capable?" I blushed, but felt a deep sense of accomplishment. My dreams were becoming reality. After our son, Kaiming Masin, was born, my life transformed yet again. He was the most beautiful baby. My parents flew in from Poland. Wei Lun's parents were equally delighted. "This child is our treasure," his grandfather declared, cradling Kaiming. I resolved to take him to Poland often, ensuring he knew his Polish grandparents too. During my confinement and early motherhood, I experienced another facet of Singapore: the dedication of mothers, the passion for education, the family-centric culture. Shopkeepers were incredibly helpful when buying baby supplies. Neighbors would stop to coo over Kaiming. "Singapore is truly a great place to raise a child," I told Wei Lun. He nodded. "Our culture deeply cherishes children." For Kaiming's first birthday, we prepared a special celebration, blending Singaporean traditional customs with a Polish first birthday party. Watching Kaiming, dressed in a traditional cheongsam, make his choices from the array of objects, everyone laughed. "He picked a pen! Our Kaiming will be very studious," his grandmother cheered. I felt the beauty of Singaporean culture once more. I was so grateful my son would grow up in such a warm environment. My company, inspired by my experiences, launched a new initiative, a cultural identity education program for children of international marriages. Like me, it aimed to help individuals living between two cultures truly embrace both. "This is truly meaningful," my colleague said. "Only Katarzyna could lead such a special project." Supported by my team, I worked harder, knowing my experiences could help others. When Kaiming turned 2, I received incredible news. The cultural exchange program I had spearheaded was selected by UNESCO as an exemplary initiative. It was international recognition, a moment of profound pride. "Congratulations. My wife is so incredible," Wei Lun said, his pride shining in his eyes. The fear I had felt when I first arrived in Singapore was a distant memory. One Sunday afternoon, picnicking with my family at East Coast Park, I reflected on the years that had passed. Every moment, from meeting Wei Lun at the cultural center to the present, flashed before my eyes. "My life changed because of you," I told Wei Lun. He shook his head. "No, Katarzyna. It was your courage to embrace new challenges. I was just lucky enough to be by your side." Watching Kaiming bounce on his father's lap, gazing out at the sea, I looked towards the future. What kind of person would this child become? What story would our family write next? When Kaiming was 5, I made a special decision. I would write a book, chronicling my journey, the month that changed a life, a raw account of my life in Singapore. "That's a great idea," Wei Lun encouraged. "So many people will be inspired." Bolstered by his support, I began, chipping away at it after work and on weekends. From the initial apprehension of my arrival to the contentment of my present life, every moment was meticulously recorded. In the process, I understood my own transformation even more profoundly. The young, fearful girl of 19 was now a confident mother and a professional woman. At the heart of it all was Singapore and its warm people. Kaiming now effortlessly switched between Mandarin and Polish, speaking to his grandmother in Mandarin and to his dziadek and babcia in Polish was truly magical. He was growing into the global child I had dreamt of. "Mama, how did you come to Singapore?" he asked one day. I smiled. "It was a gift from your Uncle Lee. That gift changed Mama's entire life." Looking into his curious eyes, I knew I would tell him the full story someday. At work, my position became even more significant. I now headed the entire Asia Cultural Exchange Department, connecting not just Poland, but Eastern Europe as a whole, Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovakia, with Singapore. "Without Director Katarzyna, such achievements would be impossible," the CEO remarked, filling me with a deep sense of pride. My small dream had blossomed into something immense. One spring, I received a special invitation. The Polish embassy in Singapore was hosting a cultural day, and they wanted me to deliver the keynote speech. The topic: building bridges between two cultures. Standing before the audience, a sea of faces, I felt a mix of nerves and profound accomplishment. 10 years ago, I was just an ordinary Polish girl. On a 1-month trip to Singapore, I began. But the warmth of the people I met here completely changed my life. I continued, speaking of how cultural differences weren't barriers but opportunities, how diverse backgrounds, when embraced, created something more beautiful, more vibrant. Just like my son, the enthusiastic applause that followed was deafening. Many approached me afterwards, expressing their gratitude. That was a truly moving story. You've given me courage. I realized my experiences had become a source of hope for others. That Christmas, my book was finally published. The month that changed a life became an instant bestseller. Readers were moved by my story, particularly young people contemplating lives abroad. "Mama's book is famous now," Kai Ming exclaimed, his voice brimming with pride. I laughed. "It's all because Mama was brave enough to take new challenges. You should find your dreams and chase them too, Kai Ming." The book was translated into Polish, creating a buzz back home. Polish media requested interviews. I returned to Poland with my family for book signings. "Our truly proud daughter," my father said, tears in his eyes. My mother echoed his sentiment, marveling at the incredible life I had forged in Singapore, becoming a cultural ambassador connecting two nations. Kai Ming, too, was a hit in Poland. His grandparents adored him, and my old friends found him utterly charming. "He's truly a child of both countries. So clever and sweet," they praised, filling me with pride. Back in Singapore, I launched a new mentorship program for young people. Inspired by my own journey, monthly lectures address the realities of overseas life and cultural adaptation. Is anyone here hesitating to embrace a new challenge in an unfamiliar place? I would ask, and many heads would nod. I want to tell you, be brave. A new life, an amazing life, might be waiting for you in that unfamiliar place. After my talks, young people would flock to me, their eyes alight with questions. I saw my younger self in them, the same mix of fear and excitement for the unknown. Kai Ming started primary school, attending an international school, learning Mandarin, Polish, and English. Watching him effortlessly switch between all three languages filled me with pride. "Mama, my teacher said my Polish accent is the best in class today," he exclaimed excitedly. I smiled. "That's because you work hard, Kai Ming." At the company, the Eastern Europe Singapore Cultural Exchange Program I oversaw was selected as an international best practice. Other countries requested consultations. I began presenting at international conferences. One autumn, I was awarded the Polish government's Cultural Contribution Award, recognizing my efforts in fostering cultural exchange between our two nations. At the ceremony, I stood with Wei Lun and Kai Ming. It is an honor to connect the two countries I love. This is all thanks to everyone who gave me opportunities and support. As my speech ended, a wave of applause washed over me. Looking at Wei Lun and Kai Ming in the audience, I felt a profound, unshakable happiness. Looking back on my journey, one truth resonated above all else. Life isn't about rigid plans, but the courage to seize opportunities. If I hadn't accepted my brother-in-law's gift 10 years ago, if I had retreated after the initial culture shock, this happiness wouldn't exist. Every choice had demanded courage. The decision to return to Singapore, to accept the job, to build my life here. Those brave choices had forged the person I was today. Another Christmas arrived. Our family of 3 walked near Marina Bay Sands, Kai Ming skipping between Wei Lun and me, the festive lights illuminating the Singaporean night. "Mama, I love Singapore the most," Kai Ming suddenly declared. I knelt, looking into his eyes. "Mama does too. Singapore gave Mama a new life, and it brought me to Papa and you." Wei Lun gently placed his hand on my shoulder. "Thank you for choosing Singapore. Thank you for choosing me." That night, on the streets of Singapore, a Polish woman, a Singaporean man, and their child walked together. This small family was, in itself, a symbol of love and courage that transcended cultures and borders. My story continues, as a mother, a wife, a professional, and an ambassador connecting two nations. Each day, I write a new chapter. And it all began with a simple plane ticket, 10 years ago. Sometimes, I wonder what I would say to my 19-year-old self, if I could go back. Perhaps, don't be afraid, be brave and step forward. An incredible life awaits you in Singapore. Now, I convey that message to more people, through my book, my speeches, and the way I live my life. I tell the world how wonderfully life can change when you dare to take that first step. The Singaporean night may still hold a touch of chill, but my heart remains warm, knowing I made the best choices of my life. Choosing Singapore, choosing Wei Lun, choosing to bravely embrace new challenges. And the result of those choices is this precious, happy moment.